Hi, guys. This is Mrs. Lyszczyk again. Let's go over the 8 stages of genocide. Now, genocide is a word that was developed by Gregory H. Stanton to describe the mass murder of people from a very certain race of people. So, let's go over the 8 stages of genocide together so you can work on your projects over the weekend and get them turned in. Okay, what was the first recorded genocide in history? That is quite easy. That would be the Armenian genocide. And as we're going through the 8 stages of genocide, I'm going to use the Armenian genocide as an example. So then you can know what you're looking for your project that's coming. So the 8 stages of genocide is quite simple. They must have classification, symbolization, dehumanization, organization, preparation. They must have polarization. They must have extermination, and they must deny the fact that they did this. So let's look at classification. Classifications when you separate people with the us and them attitude, us being superior than them over there. And in the Armenian genocide, it was the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Turks, who didn't like the Armenians who were Christian. So basically, it was the Muslims who did not like people that were non-Muslim or Christian at that time. Symbolization is when they give you a very distinctive name or symbol to identify who you are. For example, with the Armenian genocide, they had the attitude that the Armenians were second-class citizens. Okay, they believed that they were infidels. They believed that they were inferior to them. The Armenians were forced to wear a cross on their clothing to signify that they were Christian. Very similar to in the Holocaust when people were told to wear certain colored triangles to determine who they were. It just makes it easier from a distance to tell that you were the enemy. Dehumanization is when they take a group of people and they take the humanity out of their lives. They make them feel like insects or animals. Sometimes they'll number them so they become a number and not a human. They'll take their name out of it. In certain circumstances, again, they were pests, so it's easier to kill something that you believe that is a pest versus a human. During the Armenian genocide, they had the mistreatment of Armenians. They were abused in the street, spit on. They literally felt like they were not human. They were just terrorized horribly during this time period. Their civil rights were taken away from them, and they were separated from the rest of society. Organized. It must be planned out and organized. There must be some type of paper trail to prove that this happened. And a lot of governments that commit genocide will have that paperwork in hand when it comes to putting them on trial for their crimes against humanity. And it's just basically, was this, a step-by-step organized event against the people that they were targeting. And so when we get to the Holocaust, I will go through how they organized that whole process. But the Armenian genocide, okay, there was a process put into place. Okay, after the dehumanizing part started, okay, they started isolating the Armenians from the rest of the society. Putting them apart, putting them somewhere else. And then also trying to figure out who is Christian, who is not Christian, going through family trees, questioning, etc. I mean, they would have brought me in to their office and asked, who did I marry? How many children did I have? How many children did they have? So then they could have all that stuff on paper so they knew who to go after with when they started committing crimes against the large group of Christians at that time. Polarization is a bigger step for dividing people. Like I said with the previous one, they'll take people and separate them out of the normal society. For example, again during the Holocaust, people were taken and put in ghettos, concentration camps, death camps. That's polarization. They're totally separating them from the rest of society. With the Armenian genocide, they gave the idea that, again, they were subhuman. So the propaganda was working with the rest of society. So it was very easy for them to begin that process of separating them from society. Preparation. Again, this is a great way of proving that an event is a planned out process. Okay. It is identifying everybody in that group on what they are. Okay. This is where they started even questioning neighbors and saying, hey, what is your neighbor? Are they one of them? Kind of thing. So preparation, do they have the money to exterminate millions of people? Do they have the tools to do so? And so this is the time period where they would get ready to severely separate the rest of society. So during the Armenian genocide, to prepare, the victims were identified, and they were again separated from rest of society. And so, they take the organization part, and then they move it up to the preparation. They're actually like putting things together to make it an easier process. Exterminating is the mass murder of a group of people based upon, their race or their beliefs or their, that kind of thing. So exterminating. During the Armenian genocide, there were camps that were put together, and they would literally do mass murders and things like that, massacres to get rid of the Armenians. And they were uncovered eventually by digging out group graves and things like that. So extermination is just like it means. It's like you call it an exterminator to come get rid of the bugs in your house. They were planning out the mass and implementing the mass killing of the group of people that they were targeting. Denial. All organizations or all governments that have committed acts of genocide have denied the fact that they did it. I didn't do it. I didn't know kind of attitude. And so that deniability is there. The 8th step has to be in there to define a genocide as a genocide, an event in history as a genocide. With the Armenian genocide, the Turkish government denied totally that it happened. It wasn't until the late 1900s that the Turkish government even decided to investigate and see whether or not that event was considered genocide. Everybody else in the world was identifying that as a genocide, but the Armenians were still denying the fact. The Turkish government was still denying the fact that they did that. Your Friday homework is quite simple. What you're going to do is you're going to create a project. Okay, this could be a Google Docs. It could be on Google Slides. It could be a video. You could use the system that all the teachers are using called Loom, Loom, to create a PowerPoint with video in it, with explaining things. But you're creating something to prove that the event that you were assigned, and you can get your assignment online, they're labeled first, second, third, and fifth hour. You can open up that document, and you personally were assigned an event in world history, and you're to research all 8 of those stages. Did this event happen, and is this event a genocide? And then you create your presentation in some format, okay? And then the last thing you must stress at the bottom of your project is this a genocide, yes or no? Okay, so your last slide or your last statement in your paper is going to state that such and such was indeed a genocide, or no, this event cannot be considered a genocide. So you are going to be the historian digging in and researching all of these events, all the information of your event, and proving whether or not that event could be considered a genocide. Now remember, I am here for you, so please make sure you email me if you have a question. Some of you can text, you have my number, but please make sure that you are very clear and make it a concise project. And I cannot wait to view them and then maybe later talk it over with you. Stay safe and healthy. And remember, I love you very much. Have a great day, guys.